All right, folks, I'm a little late tonight. Forgive me. I have been setting up this amazing event that is coming that I'm going to be speaking at tomorrow. And it is a wonderful organization called CMTA. And tonight, the goal here is to talk about how to promote yourself with ease. Because too often, many of us don't promote ourselves because we're hesitant to speak up. We feel like, maybe we shouldn't say anything about ourselves because it might sound like we're bragging. And it isn't at all about bragging. What if you thought about promoting yourself as simply making yourself visible? And that was it. So welcome to those of you that have joined. Thank you for your patience. And what I'm curious about for those of you that are listening, to drop in the comments, do you ever struggle with promoting yourself? And if so, what is the biggest barrier for you when you're trying to promote yourself, or you want to promote yourself, or you're simply hesitant and maybe you don't know what to say? There's all kinds of reasons why we might not. But what is the obstacle that's preventing you from promoting yourself? And what I want to say too is that one of the biggest problems that I see is that people look at self-promotion as if they're bragging, as if they're being arrogant. And the number one thing I want to say is that if that even crosses your mind, most likely you are not going to come across as arrogant or bragging at all. And I see a couple people that wrote, "Oh yeah, thank you, Karsta, it's my biggest struggle." And this can also be the biggest barrier that gets in our way. So what I want to ask you to think about is imagining you go to the most amazing restaurant that you have ever been to, and you don't tell a soul about it. That isn't what most of us would do, right? Most of us, when we go to an amazing restaurant, we tell everybody about it. We say, "You're not going to believe the food that I have. You're not going to believe the service," all the things that we have. And thank you, Karsta. I don't always know how, and who am I to share? Why am I the expert? Well, what I love to say to that second part is, who aren't you not to be the expert? In other words, we decide who we want to be and how we want to show up in the world. And a big part of this is through the mindset that we carry, that we have. And so I want to invite everybody to think about it as simply sharing that you exist. Now, I understand supporting a restaurant or promoting a restaurant is very different because it's not you, unless it were your restaurant. But I want to encourage you to think about how you are serving people. What is it that you're doing for people? And that's where you focus. What is the expertise that you have that you offer to people? Just like when I first started my business many years ago, I remember I always thought, well, the same thing. Who am I to be doing this? And I think the first question to ask yourself back to that, when you catch yourself doing that, is who are you not to be? Why not you? And if you look at it from the perspective of, hey, don't believe me, believe my clients. Not that you would flat out say, don't believe me, but that is something, and I've tried that out. It's all about experimenting. And so, Karsta, to address what you said there, I don't always know how. And so for my advice to anybody that's wondering, well, how do I actually do this? It's to start with what you do that serves, and then think about, well, what are the benefits to the person that I'm speaking to? Like, why would they care? And that's a good example to take an actual deep dive into that and think, what is what I'm doing going to make a difference in that person's life? And that's where you focus. So what I want to remind you is that every single one of you listening to this is that you are radiant, you're talented, you've got amazing gifts and skills that you offer. And what I don't want, and what I know you don't want, is to be the best kept secret in your industry. Imagine that, the best kept secret. So somebody needs to say something. And you know what else that I thought is so powerful? Have you ever had a situation where you share something about yourself and somebody else goes, oh, I need that, or I want that, or I know somebody that wants that? That's what we need to be thinking about. We've got to stop thinking so much about ourselves. And let's face it, I know we as a people, we are self-focused. We are obsessed with ourselves, for better or worse. And so we're always going to take the self-focus glance or perspective. So think about this from the others focused perspective. How can you focus so much on other people that you think, what is it that I do that will serve them? So I'm repeating myself, but saying it in different ways to make the point. So the thing that I want to mention here is that 80% of how we show up is mindset. It might even be more than that. And if we can focus on the mindset around what I have to offer is serving someone in the world, then when you come from that place versus this scarcity of, oh, who am I? And all of these doubts that come into play, which I recognize are natural. I've got a whole chapter in my book about self-doubt. You can reference chapter 2 for that if you'd like, or look at some of the exercises that I have in other lives. But thinking about going back to what questions to ask yourself as you're exploring the challenges that you might have with this. Number one is to really dive into, why is this so hard for me? What are the obstacles? What's getting in your way? And then whether it's a coach, whether it's a therapy, whether it's a therapist, whether it's journaling, something to figure out and get to the root of what is it that's so hard. And thank you, Kelly. I know how frustrated I get when I can't find what I need or want. I remind myself of this when I start doubting. Someone needs what I have to offer. Yes, Kelly. Someone needs what you have to offer. That is such a good reminder. And you never know who it's going to be. I'm literally sitting here in this ballroom setting up for my event tomorrow, and that I am speaking at. It's not my event, but I was invited to speak at it. And I'm talking with the event planner. She's a Mary Kay director. We start talking about how I might be able to help serve her community. But if I hadn't mentioned anything about that, I specifically said, hey, would it serve your people, your women, if I came in and maybe spoke to your group? Again, coming from a place of inquiry and curiosity, that can make a big difference. And thank you, Mentoring a Dream. Journaling helps me. Yes, thank you for sharing that. I love that. Getting all of these things out on paper. And I know that some people prefer to type, but I will say that there's some great research around the kinesthetic sense, meaning the sense of touch. When you write things down and you actually put pen to paper, it can help to solidify things even more in your thought process. It can also help to simply be a better way. That's obviously everything is going to work differently for different people, but most people find that writing it down is a really great and cathartic way to do that. Okay, so the other thing that I've said in so many words, but I want to drill this down, is that to recognize that what you do helps other people. And it's not about promoting yourself, it's about making yourself visible so the world does know that you exist and what you have to offer, and that the person who needs you, kind of like what Kelly mentioned, knows that that you're there and knows where to find you and how to find you. So I want to remind you, you are definitely not promoting yourself for selfish gain. You're promoting yourself for the growth and success of everyone you touch. I want to say that again. You're promoting yourself for the growth and success of everyone you touch. And here's the thing. You're not going to be for everybody. Who cares? It's okay. I know that can be hard to hear sometimes because maybe we want to be all things to all people. I know there was a time in my life where I did, but I have come to realize that I'm not going to be, and that's okay. I love one of my mentors, informal mentors. She doesn't know that she's one of my mentors, but Sally Hogshead, love that name. She is an incredible person and has a book as well. And she talks about how she loves pistachio ice cream. And she said, most people don't love pistachio ice cream, but I do. And her analogy is, be pistachio ice cream. You are pistachio ice cream to somebody. It does not matter how many people you reach. It matters the quality of the people that you reach, or the quality of what you're doing to help people. So even if you feel like you're only helping one person is still one life that you have impacted. And that makes me a little emotional, because sometimes it can feel like, oh, I have to reach all these people and do these grand things. And the truth is, if we simply reach one person, that will make a difference in our lives. So that would be my suggestion. And let's see here. I actually have notes today, folks. If you do, I want to remind you, in addition to all these wonderful things that we do to serve others, one of the things to remember is that your voice is important. You have a powerful voice and it needs to be at the table. So the more that you speak up, the more that you ask for opportunities, the more that you talk to people, the more visibility you're going to get. And that's just numbers. It's a numbers game. In fact, it's funny that I met this woman that sells Mary Kay, and she's quite young compared to me. And I remember telling her when I was 18 years old, I sold Mary Kay, and I would go every Monday night religiously to their sales and marketing meetings. And what was so fascinating to me that they taught me that isn't very fun to hear when you're trying to sell something, whether it's an idea or a product or a service, that you have to get 50 no's before you get one yes. That's what they taught us. I'm glad my odds are better nowadays, but that is what they taught us. So it's also important to remember that it's a numbers game. The more people you talk to, the more people you ask, the more people you invite into your world, the more eventually you're going to get to either buy into your product, service, or just simply do business with you, or invite you into a nonprofit situation, a volunteer situation. Who knows? There's all different types of possibilities that exist. So thank you for those who have joined. And as always, I love having you here. This is the Confidence Corner. I'm Karen Laus, and keep in mind, if you want to work through any of these things, please reach out to me. I would love to set up a discovery call and we can talk about whether I could help you. And if I can't help you, I can refer you to somebody else that can, perhaps. So lots of opportunities, lots of options. Know that I am for you. I care deeply about you and your success. And please feel free to reach out if I can be of service in any way, shape, or form. Signing off. Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and thanks for joining.